Already have been.
Not my friend anymore.
You'll explain?
Yep.
You're gonna have to leave me hooked up because I wanna hear that. I wanna hear this.
I'm rolling.
Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores brings you Garage Logic Podcast number 1025, Feb 27, 2023. We have a bit of a kerfuffle in the weather records because I forgot to bring mine in. And I do know that the warm temperature, it was pretty warm on this day in 2016. And it was colder than that on another year. But I do have the Star Tribune records, and they're a day behind. Did you guys know that?
Oh, yesterday.
No,
So I have the Monday Star Tribune.
Why?
Because you just handed it to me.
No, why would they post yesterday's records?
I don't know, but they've been doing that forever, which is why I don't use their records. In any event, they have yesterday's records, which were impressive. Yesterday it was 64 degrees in 1896, and it was 21 degrees in 21 below in 1897. But that's yesterday. Today the record high was in 2016. It was nice out.
58. It was 58
58.
in 2016, and the low was 22 below in 1879.
Oh, thank you, John.
And
Where'd
now,
you get
from
that?
the mayor's office
I got
above the
those from
boathouse on the east shore of
CBS.com,
Spoon
Minnesota
Lake,
website.
it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Heidt in the newsroom, and of course, the Rookie. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Souchere.
You shouldn't leave this kind of stuff laying around. Lip Ivo. I call it lip
Where
Ivo.
was it?
Laying
It's
here.
been
Somebody's-
sitting here for a week
Somebody's lip
plus.
stuff. That's
That's
yeah.
mine.
Is it really?
Yeah. How did it get over there?
I don't know.
You.
You know what I did with that when I was in there
No,
on Friday?
I'm not using that.
No.
Get some balm.
Did we
going.
mention Friday that we have a legislator named Omar Fateh
We did.
who said that anyone who did not approve of felons getting their rights back to vote was a terrorist,
Yep.
right? And along those lines, Reeves and I were talking before the show, and Reeves said, get ready. About 20, was it 20 years?
I didn't know I was going to go public with that.
Well, I'm
thought.
telling him, about 20 years, get ready for Sharia law. Well, you already tried to see it at Hamlin.
Yeah.
You saw an example of, well, and I don't know if that's true or not, but in my effort to continually try to help GLers prepare for whatever's coming, and God only knows with this country what's coming. But I've mentioned it before. I'm going to review it again. 3 books by a guy named Robert Ferrigno, Ferrigno. I first became aware of Robert Ferrigno with a book called The Horse Latitudes, which I really recommend. Kind of a noir thriller set in L.A., wrote it in 1990. I really recommend it. Very good. And then another one that he had was The Cheshire Moon. I recommend that highly. The Cheshire Moon. That was 1993.
These are all in Author's Corner, correct? I think
They
we
are.
added those.
If they were in Author's Corner, they were in a very early Author's Corner.
I thought they were.
In any event, I most recently read something by him that was very disappointing, which is neither here nor there. After Horse Latitudes and Cheshire, you know what the Horse Latitudes are, by the way?
What?
It's an interesting. They're the latitudes at sea when you find no wind, and in order to get going, you have to lighten the boat. So if they had horses on them, see you later, horsey.
No.
Oh, boy, really?
The horses were tossed overboard. And they became known as the Horse Latitudes.
Wow.
Prayers for the Assassin by Robert Ferrigno.
Wait, this is what I'm getting into.
Is in Author's Corner.
Oh, okay, good. But in any event, this might help you prepare for what's coming. It's a trilogy of books he wrote, and they're fascinating. They're excellent, and unfortunately, they're very chilling given what we're witnessing. And book number 1 in the trilogy is called Prayers for the Assassin. You writing that down, everyone?
Prayers for the Assassin.
Number 2 in the trilogy is Sins of the Assassin. All right. And number 3, and the final book in the trilogy, is Heart of the Assassin.
Heart of the Assassin.
And essentially what they are is the United States becoming a kind of quasi-Islamic state. And the Constitution is quasi-replaced by the Quran and things of that nature. And they're very, very chilling. And they're not conspiratorial. They're not over the top. But they required of Ferrigno his wonderful imagination, and he pulls it off. So, and he's writing these. What's 20 years from ago today? 2003.
3, yeah.
So he's writing these about 20 years ago.
Oh, goodness.
20 years ago, and
what you said was much of what he claimed has taken place.
Yes. Well, no, the takeover of the United States has certainly not taken place, but you're getting glimpses of a United States that is becoming diminished in a variety of ways, and his way of determining how the United States was going to be ultimately failed was to write these 3 books: The Prayer of the Assassin, Sins of the Assassin, and Heart of the Assassin. And they're great novels. They're, if nothing else, they're page turners and they're wonderful novels.
Have you ever spoken with him?
I have
interviewed
not.
him?
I have not.
I'm wondering at the time when he wrote them if he thought this idea he had was far-fetched or if he saw something we didn't. Mm-hmm. 5-6 years ago, I had a friend. He lived in West Bloomington, actually. He was from the Netherlands and just as liberal as you can possibly be. Mm-hmm. And he said that the United States was turning into the Netherlands in regards to Sharia law and everything, because I guess they've taken over there. And he warned, and I just thought it was really interesting coming from a liberal.
I was reading something about how the liberals are getting tired of San Francisco. The progressive hellscape of San Francisco. Let me see if I have this. It's a little bit off topic, but that's okay.
We call that a non sequitur.
Well, not if I'm doing it. See, if I do it, it's not a non sequitur.
Oh, I got
I
you.
think it might have been in the Wall Street Journal.
Thank you, John.
The St. Paul paper. I don't have it. It was the...
hey, Royce, can you pull the mic closer to your...
It was the special prosecutor in the Trump case is getting closer to indictment, but the second paragraph was, court challenges could take months. I just was going to mention it because it corroborates my idea that nothing will come of this. Trump, as much as Trump is disliked by the careerists on the third rail, he does enjoy the prerogatives of the third rail.
Yep.
Because he got stuck on the third rail or planted on the third rail by becoming a president. So he is enjoying, however much he even is aware of it, the results of being on the third rail, which is you don't really ever have to answer to much or to many. And his whole supposed criminal indictment will never happen because he's on the third rail. There's something will always come up to delay it, appeal it, transfer it. And as a reminder to all of us GLers, you try that when you're 10 minutes late paying your property taxes. When the government works with the government, anything they want can happen. Mm-hmm. When the government works with a private citizen, the only thing that will happen is what the government wants to happen.
Right.
And so there you are. So that was my...
Nailed it. Yep.
Yeah, go ahead, Kenny.
No, I said you nailed it.
Oh, and so there's my recommendation today. In fact, I might reread those assassin books, given what this show has stumbled onto and given the direction of the country. I think I will order them and reread them. I hold no hope of still finding those.
I thought you owned them
anywhere. Well, at some point, though, I got to take a load of books to the library.
I got
so Lou Ferrigno.
Yep. No.
Rookie.
God help me.
I held back on that one.
I wrote it down.
Ferrigno.
I wrote it down. Ferrigno, the Assassin Trilogy. So
Robert Ferrigno.
My Brother the Hulk.
Bobby, gotcha.
Did you do the autobiography, My Brother the Hulk?
Matt, the last book you read, you had to hide in Science magazine because it was something about the soft. What was the book you were reading?
Wasn't it about Thing 1 and Thing 2?
50 Shades of Grey.
50 Shades of Grey.
Yes.
Oh, right.
Well, wait, you're discounting my 8-page marathon in the Dominican. I ain't got time to bleed.
You made her 8 whole pages, huh?
I dove into it. Dove into the deep end there, man.
8-page marathon.
Yep.
How is everybody?
Couldn't put her down.
Mind your own business.
Wait a minute. Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Did the 8 pages lead you up to when the bar opened at 10 a.m.? Was that basically
Pretty
what
much, yeah. Well, reading time is done. Time to get a cocktail.
Well, I've been reading this book for 3 hours
Right, it
now. I'm
seems
8
like
pages in.
I have been alerted to important public meetings to be conducted by Xcel Energy. You might be believing your utility bill has been a bit high these last few
I'll
months.
say yes.
Hoofed.
Yes.
To the point where I'm no longer heating my garage as much as I used to. It's that bad.
Wow.
I mean, I'm getting heating bills that are just,
How can they do that unchecked?
well, I don't think they do it unchecked. There's a system.
All right.
But Howard alerted me to this. There's a public notice regarding electric vehicles,
Okay.
and you may speak at it. Xcel Energy has filed a petition with the Minnesota Public Utilities Commission for ratepayers, that's you and me, to fund the following electric vehicle programs that will reduce emissions and increase opportunities to use EVs in Minnesota. Well, I'm not convinced that electric vehicles reduce emissions. They just have their exhaust pipes elsewhere. But they wish to expand public charging program by building, owning, and operating approximately 730 new high-speed public charging stations and supporting infrastructure. By 2026, these charging stations will be included in rate base, meaning Xcel Energy customers will pay for the construction and maintenance of these facilities. Now, granted, if you're an EV owner, you are included in the ones paying for that. But if you're not an EV owner, you are also paying for it. Electric school bus program that will provide 32 buses, including supply, charging, and related infrastructure to school districts at no cost to the districts, meaning you will be paying for this electric bus tryout. Modify commercial and residential EV offerings by extending pilot programs and managed charging with potential for additional changes, advisory services, including education, outreach, and consultation. And it sounds like Xcel Energy has no intention of paying for any of this.
Nope.
You, as the ratepayer, will pick up the tab. If you're interested, and I've lost a great deal of my hope that Minnesotans are interested in very much at all. But if you're interested, Monday, March 6th, 2 p.m., and you have to go to the Minnesota Public Utilities Commission website. Wednesday, March 8th, 7 p.m. I'm sorry, I'll give you a different website. Minnesota.webex, webex.com. Minnesota.webex, webex.com. So go to minnesotawebex.com if you wish to attend a hearing on Monday, March 6th at 2 p.m. and go to the same website, minnesotawebex.com, if you wish to attend a Wednesday, March 8th meeting at 7 p.m. And apparently what they're willing to do is take testimony from citizens who say, I do not wish to pay for this. My utility bills are already way too high.
Here's the problem with that. They've got you over a barrel. This isn't like choosing a cable or satellite provider.
Yeah.
You don't have an option. If Xcel Energy is your energy company, that's who you got.
Yeah.
It almost makes you wonder why we're going through the motions, doesn't it?
Well, I'm sure they legally have to. But it doesn't matter if you go there and object. This is getting shoved down your throats whether you want it or not.
Administrative Law Judge Jessica A. Palmer-Denig from Diversityville will preside over the public hearings and provide the Public Utilities Commission a report with findings of fact conclusions of law, and recommendations after the conclusion of the evidentiary hearings. The public can participate without intervening as a party. Representation by legal counsel is permitted but not required. In other words, you could bring your lawyer if you want. Please note the public hearings will end once everyone has had the opportunity to comment and all other business concludes. Commenters will be called in the order that they enter the queue. Therefore, it is advantageous to arrive at the beginning of the hearing. All right. I've done my due diligence for the public, thanks to Howard. So we're going to be building charging stations and electric buses and infrastructure and high-speed charging, and we'll be modifying commercial and residential EV offerings, all under the guise of this is going to help the planet. I don't believe it will, but the world is racing full speed ahead, including automobile manufacturers, to produce more and more EVs. And there you have it.
Well, you kind of predicted this a few months ago when you started talking about when gasoline became popular. The government and the people didn't step in and start building gas stations.
No, they did not.
Right.
Right. And you'll recall during that same era, automobile manufacturers introduced electric vehicles, but the market rejected them.
Yeah.
And that's when they went to the internal combustion engine. And, you know, Pete and Carl built their own gas station in Winona. And they didn't expect a check from the government, or they didn't expect their fellow citizens on their block to send them money so they could build a gas station.
Right.
But the world is changing. The United States is changing. And the old saying is we must change with it. And there's much of the change involved that we might reject, but there's nothing we can do about it except push back.
Well, it's a change for good, Joe. I mean, come on, harumph.
Yeah, I guess so. You don't want the government to handle your affairs.
I don't want them handling anything.
Mm-hmm. I got a note from Dana who writes, just a nod of appreciation for your persistence in finally getting us in to talk to the estate planning team at Eckberg Lammers. We made the call and met with Patrick. Thankfully, not your Patrick.
Yes, sir.
And when I read this already. So this was given to me as though it was new. The sales department rushed this over as though it was new. We had this weeks ago.
Well,
but it's worth repeating.
Let me see if I remember.
We made the call and met with Patrick. Thankfully, not your Patrick. I'm no longer his friend. It went over what we needed to do to help the grandkids, kids, and aging mother-in-law. Patrick and his team made it easy. Thanks for the kick in the rear. Our kids made an appointment, too. It's never too early to plan, and she is correct. I'm talking about Eckberg Lammers, one of the most well-known law firms in the metro and western Wisconsin. They've been preparing estate plans for more than 70 years. They'll also help you with small business transitions. They help you with family disputes in terms of property. But mainly what you want to do, and it doesn't make any difference how old you are, unfortunately, we're all going to die, and the estate planning prevents your survivors from having to get into a hassle with the court system. You have a nice document. Unfortunately, Pop's gone.
Right.
But you say, hey, well, he left us this.
I get the clock. I get the clock.
Everything's taken care of, and you don't have to worry about probate or anything of that nature. And they do business law, business succession planning, commercial real estate. But it's very important that no matter how much you have, how much you've accumulated, you don't want to leave your family a big problem. You don't want to leave a mess. So that's the goal of estate planning. Avoid court, minimize taxes, and control your wishes. Contact Eckberg Lammers at 651-439-2878 or visit Eckberg Lammers at eckberglammers.com.
In our climate, using seafoam, it's not a luxury, it's a necessity. Hey, GLers, Kenny here. It's warm one day, it's frigid the next, fog, rain, snow, freezing drizzle. Seafoam works to fight off the condensation and remove deposits while lubricating the moving parts and preserving engine vapors, making starting easier on the cold days. Nothing worse than a vehicle not starting when it's at or below zero. Seafoam is on our side and a true miracle in a world of bad gas and miserable temperatures. For more tips, log on to seafoamworks.com.
Oh, that was the We Saw It Coming.
Fighting the demagogues of diversity, it's Joe Souchere.
Reavers here with a non sequitur, and that is my friends at Hofferman Water. I was just having a
Are you
laugh.
going to speak slowly?
I'm going to. Hofferman Water is an independent water treatment dealer, GLers. You already know that, but did you know that they offer sales, service, which is key, and rental options for Connecticut water treatment systems? It includes, if you're in the market for a water softener, maybe an iron, rust, or odor filtration system, or maybe you just want a drinking water system. Anyway, they got you covered. They're the best in the business, and they'll take care of you and your family. And that's because a new system from Connecticut is going to change your life. Trust me when I say that. I had one installed years ago, and I'm so happy I made the switch. You will be too. It cut down on my salt usage, but it also protects my appliances inside the home. Your showers are going to be better if you get that new water softener. So is your laundry and your drinking water. So do me a favor. Get in touch with my friends at Hofferman Water today. 952-894-4040. That's 952-894-4040, or visit their website, HoffermanWater.com. You can see every option that they have on their website, HoffermanWater.com. Hofferman Water has been proudly serving the state of Minnesota for over 50 years. Tell them you heard about them here on the Garage Logic podcast.
May I speak about books I'm reading for another moment? Mm-hmm. John, you're a fan of Don Winslow, are you not?
I am, yes.
I just finished last night the first of what apparently is also a trilogy.
Correct.
Called City on Fire.
Mm-hmm.
Did you read it?
I did read it, yes.
Did you like it?
I did like it, yep.
I came to the conclusion reading that book that what you read affects how well you will sleep.
Okay.
It was so violent.
Oh, sure.
And
sure.
I got so tired of how stupid these Italians and Irish were.
Yeah.
That they actually think they're leading some sort of important or virtuous life. That it was driving me crazy. But I liked it because I like him. I liked it. I don't know that I'll read the other two.
The other second one is out next month, actually, already.
Yeah.
So.
And that picks up Danny Ryan where we left off.
Correct, yes.
Hauling his son and his father away from the carnage in Providence, Rhode Island.
Did you read his Mexican Cartel trilogy? That's extraordinarily violent.
Yes, but the one I liked most by him was, and I can't remember the name of it. It was set in San Diego. It was a gang of guys who go surfing together.
The Something Squad, right there.
Yeah, and I thought that was just delightful.
That was the first one I read, and immediately drew me to him. Yeah,
just
I agree.
Delightful. But this is so full of heads getting slammed into sinks and bodies getting dragged by cars. And I just thought, no wonder I'm not sleeping. It's
taking a little to heart, huh?
Okay, I will rest that case now.
All right.
Along lines, I know only Kenny and I have consumed the Kool-Aid, and I have predicted that this is the year that we'll learn more and more about unknown aerial phenomenon, which apparently has been introduced as a euphemism because it makes you sound less crazy than to say UFOs.
Yes.
Right? Because the government will use unidentified AAP, but they won't use UFO because that makes you nuts.
Right.
So, and reportings are coming from more and more people. Do you recall John Kasich ran for governor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he was denigrated because during a debate he mentioned seeing a UFO. And that kind of wrapped up his campaign for him because people said, well, you're nuts. Well, now we have the president of Mexico. The president of Mexico.
You don't tell me.
Andre Manuel Lopez Obrador did not seem to be joking when he posted a photo of a Lux, a mischievous woodland spirit in Mayan folklore, an elf. He posted it on his social media. This is the president of the country. Lopez Obrador wrote, the photo was taken 3 days ago by an engineer. It appears to be an alux, adding, everything is mystical. The nighttime photo shows a tree with a branch forming what looks like a halo of hair and what may be stars forming the figure's eyes. Lopez Obrador has long expressed reverence for indigenous cultures and beliefs, and there is a great movement in the ancient astronaut world that elves and fairies are part of this whole picture, right?
Okay.
And so Lopez Obrador has long expressed reverence for indigenous cultures and beliefs. Engineers and workers in the Yucatan Peninsula constructing a tourist train that is the president's pet project got this. According to traditional Mayan belief, aluxes are small, mischievous creatures that inhabit forests and fields and are prone to playing tricks on people, like hiding things. Some people leave small offerings to appease them. The ancient Mayan civilization reached its height from 300 AD to 900 AD, and you should see the carvings they got, on the Yucatan Peninsula and in adjacent parts of Central America. But the Maya's descendants continue to live on the peninsula. Many continue speaking the Mayan language and wearing traditional clothing, while also conserving traditional foods, crops, religion, and medicine practices, despite the conquest of the region by the Spanish between 1527 and 1546. Now, we do have audio from the president of Mexico, Lopez Obrador. He released this to his social media accounts.
Me, it look like a leprechaun to me. All I gotta do is look up in the tree. Who else seen the leprechaun say yeah?
Yeah!
Well, there you have it. It's an eyewitness account.
Pretty good English, too. Pretty good English.
It's there. And I just think that's fascinating. I saw the picture.
Well, there was a sketch.
It wasn't a sketch.
Are you sure?
Yes.
There's very accurate sketches on that.
When the guy saw the leprechaun, that was a sketch.
That was a sketch, yeah. And it was just a ding-ding.
You know,
That was an artist rendering.
Right. To this day, I wonder, because I don't trust news channels anymore. Were they so stupid they thought that was real, or did they play along?
Oh, they played along.
Okay.
They had a lot of fun with it.
Let's go right to the source.
Eyewitnesses say the leprechaun only comes out at night.
Oh.
If you shine a light in its direction, it suddenly disappears. This amateur sketch resembles what many of you say the leprechaun looks like. Others find it hard to believe and have come up with their own theories and explanations for the image.
My theory is it's casting a shadow from the other limb.
Yep.
Could be a crackhead that got hold to the wrong stuff.
That's my favorite line of the whole.
Or the guy walking with the lead pipe or the stick instead. It's an
He's
antique.
a warrior. He was a warrior that was ready to fight the leprechaun.
Yeah, well, scoff if you must. But this is the president of Mexico, Andre Manuel Lopez Obrador, and he believes he has seen an alux, A-L-U-X-E, an alux, mischievous little leprechaun-like creature which plays tricks on people, much like you.
Yeah, well, I do.
You know?
I like to.
Mischievous and full of non sequiturs. So it's
Others just came to get lucky in hopes a pot of gold may be buried under this tree.
I'm gonna run a backhoe and uproot that tree. I want to know where the gold at.
Yep.
I want the gold. Give me the gold.
I want to run a backhoe and uproot that tree.
I want to know the gold at.
That's very good. That's very good. President of Mexico. Yeah.
They're not helping our cause, though, are they?
No.
So basically, everyone that runs a country is pretty much nuts. Is that what we're?
I just watched an interview with a dirt track rider. He was being interviewed by Dale Jr. on his podcast. He's been abducted a number of times.
Oh.
And his name is Scott Bloomquist. He's one of the best dirt trackers in the country. He says if you're abducted, it's better to get abducted by the saucer-looking UFOs and not the Tic Tac UFOs because the guys in the Tic Tac UFOs, they're mean and brutal and they'll hurt you. But the aliens in these saucer ones, they're friendly.
They only
They're
do
cool.
light probing.
Not as invasive.
Not like the Major.
Right. Hey, and you see and you hear stuff like that, and it's like, oh, well, you're not doing it. And there's a local musician, I've told you about this guy many, many times, who claims he's been in his apartment in Uptown, and they swing by and pick him up, him and his daughter.
Yeah.
Well,
Swing by.
Obviously, he's on some sort of drug.
Well, for years. I mean, since the 60s,
Right.
of course.
The crackhead that got the wrong stuff.
May I tell you that, and I recommend this to every GLer, go online if you must, or you might have the copy at home, of the Sunday St. Paul Pioneer Press. And the front page play story is the story of what life is like at Harding High School. And to the credit of the teachers who were promised anonymity, I don't like anonymity, but in this case, I can certainly understand it. The teachers at Harding, and I would imagine this is true in every public high school, they're facing a two-pronged problem.
Yeah. I just finished it, Joe. It's bad.
They're facing recrimination from their superiors if they point out how bad things are, and they're also dealing with how bad things are.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. A lot of teachers I wouldn't give the time of day to because they're participating in the creation of the failed academy. A lot of teachers don't. A lot of teachers want to teach. And these, to the credit of these teachers, give me the reporter's name again who wrote this. Is it Josh Vergas?
I believe so.
Let me scroll
Josh
up.
Vergas,
Yeah.
yes.
He did a hell of a job. I submit to you, this is the most important story. If St. Paul is going to turn around and reclaim some sense of sanity, culturally, ideologically, criminally, public safety, this is the most important story that I've read in that newspaper, maybe forever. I was going to say 5 years, but who am I kidding? There hasn't been anything like this reported to the public, and I urge you all to read it. Harding comes off like a Salvadoran prison. It's controlled by what I'm going to call gangs roaming the hallways that don't even go to class. Kids trying to get an education are sometimes just even afraid to go to the bathroom.
That's just
The stabbing of the student was long predicted by these teachers who spoke on conditions of anonymity.
And none of them were surprised.
None of them were surprised but that this took place. To reinforce the idea that this was gang-related, that same poor Harding student who was stabbed to death, there was a shooting at a ceremony for him late last week at a public rec center on the west side, drive-by shooting.
Friday, right?
Friday. No one died. And then there was another shooting at a ceremony over the weekend on Dale and University in St. Paul, which may or may not have anything to do with Harding. But getting back to Harding, the teachers not only predicted this, lived in fear of it, and got nowhere bringing it up to their superiors, their principal, for example. The school board, as we know, because we know who's on the school board, they're completely worthless. Mm-hmm. They're completely worthless. They're ideologically corrupt. They participate in the destruction of the academy. I've told black parents for years and years and years, don't accept any favors the left is doing for you. They've ruined your child's experience in school. And the blame for these kids cannot be laid at the feet of the teachers. These are kids, the horses left the barn for these kids. These are kids who had no moral or ethical integrity taught to them instinctively when they were living under their parents' roof, or as they continue to live under their parents' roof, they're getting nothing. They're getting nothing. And they take that nothingness to school. They go to school because they really have no place else to go. Right. And then they go to school and all they do is wreak havoc. They're taking guns away from kids at Harding. They've taken knives away from kids at Harding. It's all the teachers can do to attempt to teach a conventional class.
Right.
The principal is worthless. The superintendent, Gothard, is worthless.
How about the mayor?
The
With his
mayor
comments?
is worthless.
Suits, you mentioned kids roaming the hallway. 40 to 70 students routinely roaming the hallways instead of being in class.
Incredible.
That's 2 to 3.
That's
two to three.
absurd.
That's 2 to 3 classrooms worth of students.
Yeah.
The upshot of it is, and again, everyone should read this. It's a great hope for bringing about change, and the only change can be to get rid of the political class we have. They have engineered a society in which these kids from day one have faced no repercussions for their behavior.
No.
A lot of teachers are saying that the equity and inclusion programs has only exacerbated this issue.
It starts in first grade, too. You start losing them in first grade.
So what do you say to the parents, the black parents that are poor, and they want their kids, and their kids are good kids, they want them to have a good education, and they can't drive them across town. They have no money, no car. They can't go to private school. What do you say to those folks?
Well,
what do
I
you
would
do?
say, first of all, check with that private school. If you are that poor and you are a minority,
There are
there
things
is
you
money
qualify for.
available.
Yep.
There's a lot of money available, but it takes extra effort.
The other thing I would say is if you are that concerned about your child, that would suggest to me you have an intact family, maybe not materialistically, but so what? You've got a mother and a father and a kid willing to learn. I believe that kids from sound families can still get I've said this for years, can still get an education at a public high school. I believe
Yes,
that. I
yes.
know parents who can afford easily to send their children to private high schools. They've sent their children to public high schools, and those children excel. Those children graduate with high honors.
Yep.
They get scholarships to whatever university they want to go to. I believe that is true, and I believe black parents can find success for their black children in public schools, but it's a shame that black student then has that weight hanging over him or her of a peer group that might frown on their efforts to get a great education.
Yeah.
Who's our gal in Roseville that's fighting the good fight?
Coffee
Monska.
Yeah.
Be fun to hear what she has to say about this. And in a different vein, same story. Administrators blaming teachers for bringing this to light.
Yeah, they don't want this brought to light. This is how obtuse they are.
There's a case, I believe it was last year, where something bad happened. A teacher wrote up, I'm paraphrasing here, wrote up a survey to give to the students about, safety.
Right.
Do you feel safe? Well, this guy got chastised and shut down and reprimanded.
And to the point where he has left the profession.
Yeah, he's no longer there. Yeah.
Yep.
If you want to correct me, tell your euphorian friends and friends in Liberal Lakes and Diversityville. I'll be glad to be corrected. But let's just stick to the public school system. I can't think of anything the left has done that has worked.
True. And they've been at it look at this state. This state's been basically Democrats, DFLers.
And why does the administration, meaning this Gothard character, why is he retaliating against teachers bringing this to light? You're trying to protect something that doesn't work. You're trying to protect utter failure. Nothing you people try has worked. Now, again, a lot of this originates in a failed home.
Mm-hmm.
And from the failed home, the child only finds accommodation for his failure in the schools. He doesn't find an opposition to his failure. He goes to the school and is reinforced in the fact that he's come to the school as a failure, and the school takes no steps, meaning administration, takes no steps for discipline. You got to start someplace.
Yeah.
We've been talking about this for too long. The mayor had a press conference regarding this latest shooting.
Which one?
This was Dale and University, either Friday night or Saturday afternoon.
Frogtown.
When 2 dead, 1 critically injured, 2 others injured at a funeral, oddly enough, called a celebration of life. And the mayor comes out and gives his press conference and admits that he's tired of this, and he is entitled to be tired of it. He should be tired of it. Mayor, I'm tired of the poor behavior by people you have done nothing to help. Nothing. And I keep going back to my initial example when he could have maybe turned everything around. Young, bright, black mayor from the city of St. Paul could have had listeners in the palm of his hand, and he just followed the progressive playbook. And that's when the young teenage girl was misbehaving at a telephone store at Hamlin and Midway, screaming and carrying on and acting like the spoiled, rotten brat she was. The first thing Carter did was question the cops. When all the video and all the audio showed the cops were acting with entire care and reason. If the mayor, instead of the knee-jerk response of must be the cops' fault, if that mayor and his entourage would have gone to that teenage girl's house and stood on the porch of the house and asked that the mom and dad came out, or the mom and or dad, and said, the behavior of your child is unacceptable in this city, and you better do something about it, and you better do it damn quick. I say that could have turned the city around. Instead, we got the opposite.
He would have lost the support of the party, and he was reading word for word from the Democrats' playbook.
I know, but he needed the strength to risk that.
Well, he doesn't have the strength, and he wants to stay in office. Obama did the same thing in regards to police. Biden did it. The squad did it. Everybody's done it.
And it's
their standard reaction.
And
when there's
it's ruining the country.
Absolutely.
It's ruining the country. Your ideas are wrong. They don't work. You're seeing it every day with shootings, behavior in school, carjackings by 14-year-olds. Your solutions, you think you've come up with solutions. All you've done is exacerbate every problem that exists, and you don't have the balls to do what's right. None. None of you do. The school board, the school administration, the superintendent, you're a joke. The mayor, you're a joke, and you blew it 4 years ago, 5 years ago, when you could have taken that misbehaving teenage miscreant to her house and called a press conference, wish that every TV station was there and every newspaper was there, and say, this behavior, I just looked at your behavior, young lady, and it is terrible, and you should be ashamed of yourself. We didn't get that. And until we get that, we've got no chance. No chance.
If I remember right, she was being pursued by the police, and she ran in there, and they caught up with her, and then she freaked out.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, clearly what St. Paul needs is higher property tax rates, and that'll take care of everything.
She fled from a gas station at the northwest corner of Hamlin and University. Correct. That had been the scene of misbehaving children over and over and over. And what was the answer? That gas station has been torn down.
Right, the BP.
The gas station's not there anymore. That was the answer of these brains. Not expect behavior. The answer was, well, let's get rid of the gas station.
Just like they did on 38th in Chicago with that Super America.
Yep.
How did Gothard get the job?
They're in a club. It's the Super Club. He'll be leaving here and get a gig in Omaha. They're like NFL coaches. They're all incompetent. They don't accomplish anything, and they just keep moving around because they have their own third rail. They are as much a part of the third rail as Omar Fateh. They're third rail people. What was the one I used to joke about, Rook? She lived by you, and we never saw her.
That was Karstarfen.
That's
Maria
right.
Karstarford.
Maria Karstarford lived on Summit.
She used Summit and Fairview.
Near
She was
Fairview.
2 blocks away from
and
me.
you never saw her, and you live 2 blocks away.
And I'm always at those places around that
Never
area.
saw her in the hardware store. Never saw her in the grocery store. Never saw her at a movie theater. Never saw her going for a walk. Now, she may have walked.
Never saw her at any of those restaurants along Grand Avenue.
And these supers are followed around by a contingent of sycophants with their clipboards and their laptops. They don't have anything to do with the public, just like the third rail. Has nothing to do with the public. They exist only to protect their salaries and their pensions, and once they get that gig, they protect it at the expense of these suffering children. Now, Harding is so bad.
How bad is it?
It's so bad that what we were saying earlier is that a child can get a great education at a public high school, and I don't mean this against the teachers at Harding. I would say you've got no shot at Harding, no matter how good the kid is. Get the kid out of Harding.
The structure is right.
Get the kid out of Harding. Harding's done. Harding, if you read this story,
used to be a great school.
Hell yes. You read this story, and you tell me I'm wrong. Harding is done. There's no hope for Harding. None.
One of the teachers that Josh, the writer, wrote about, one of the teachers said, the very last line of the story, in reference to Gothard, I think he's finally got the message. Too little, too late.
Gothard, you are a pretend figure. You are unknown to us. You're unknown to the public. These people live in their own world. You've got a rotten school board full of idiots, literally idiots, one of whom tried to foment her own racial war.
Right.
Oh,
God,
with the table service, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Let's come back with Johnny Heidt.
All right, we can do that. But first, since we're talking about kids that are maybe in the inner city schools and need a little bit of help, well, I've got somebody that will help you, and they're very charitable. It's Minnesota Masonic Charities. And if you go to their website, mnmasoniccharities.org, I want you to click on scholarships, because the Minnesota Masonic Charities Scholarships portfolio, they've got some requirements, but let me tell you what the awards are. Signature loan, it's a $6,000 award. They award 6 of them. Legacy award, it's a $4,000 award. They allow 11 of them. Heritage, $3,000 award. There's 20 of those available. The Selfless Scholar, that's a $5,000 shared award, and there's a dozen available. And the Career and Technical Award, $2,500, 40 awards available. Undergraduate, $3,000 award, and there's 30 awards available. Poke around their website. You can nominate someone. There's the rules for how you can apply for a Masonic Charity Scholarship listed right there. Private school, homeschool, yes, you can apply. It's a wonderful, wonderful charitable operation, and they can't do it if they don't have people applying. So if you want to call them and ask or donate, 952-948-6200, 952-948-6200, or you can go to mnmasoniccharities.org. That's mnmasoniccharities.org. Get your student, private school, public school, it doesn't matter. Get them a scholarship from Minnesota Masonic Charities.
This guy wears many hats, just not indoors. Joe Souchere.
Coming in hot. Tri-State Bobcat coming into spring hot with deals that are not only they're amazing, they're a bit ridiculous. First off, you shovel lovers, and I'm looking at my buddy right now, Mr. Shovel Lover himself. You guys had a workout last week, and we haven't even hit heart attack snow season yet. That's coming up. John, I want you to throw that shovel in the corner, get yourself a Toro snowblower. If you've been holding out for the right price, the time is absolutely right now. You'll get sale prices on Toro Power Clear single stage and Power Max 2-stage snowblowers. You can finally lay that shovel down, get behind a Toro snowblower, and you'll look forward to the next blizzard. That's how fun they are. Now, summer, if you're thinking about a zero-turn mower, right now Tri-State Bobcat has the best discounted pricing on select previous model years brand new Time Cutter and Titan zero-turn mowers. Yeah, from 42 to 60 inches. These are last year's models. Discounts ranging from 10 to 20% under the promo pricing. There's I wish I could mention them all, but I've got a list of them. The list just goes on and on and on. So it's impossible for me to mention. Here's what you do. You get on the horn, Call any of the Tri-State Bobcat locations. Tell them you're a GLer and you need a snowblower or a zero-turn mower right away. Toro makes snow blowing and lawn cutting fun. And
I want a little front-end loader with a shovel.
I have pictures of one, Joe. They have them at Tri-State, and I'm gonna send those pictures to you. They're really cool. Fun announcement from Tri-State. They now own Mankey's Outdoor Equipment in Owatonna. And because they're part of the Tri-State family, all the pricing and promos are also available in Owatonna. 3 locations here in the Twin Cities for Tri-State, Burnsville, Little Canada, and Hudson. And you can see all of everything that Tri-State carries at tristatebobcat.com.
Ken?
Yeah.
Do me a favor. Can you send me the link for the Toro snowblower as well?
Yeah. Reavers, they're so cool.
I don't know how much longer I can bank on my neighbor coming over after...
You're still borrowing one?
No, he just comes over and does it.
Chris, I ran one.
He damn near dropped last week. I felt bad.
I ran one in the parking lot down there in Burnsville last Friday. And the problem is these guys all have the best in snow equipment removal. So I had a hard time finding something to, some snow to blow.
Right.
But I found some, and they're so cool. They're so awesome.
John Heidt.
Thank you, Joe.
Why don't you pay attention to that ad and quit shoveling?
Well, I like shoveling.
All right.
Yeah, he's a shovel lover.
All right.
I'm a shovel lover.
Here's John Height's news.
Thanks, Joe. Before I get to the news, I thought you guys might like to know that St. Paul Public School Superintendent Joe Gothard, he starts his new 3-year contract July 1st of this year, just so you know.
Oh, my God.
What a prize. What a prize.
He should be run out on a rail.
And that will pay him the first year $256,000.
Wow.
And then he gets a 1.93% raise every year.
Complete
over 3
failure.
years.
Complete failure.
Wow.
That would never fly in the real world.
No,
Plus,
absolutely not.
Don't forget the car allowance.
I'm sure he's got a doctorate in education.
Yes, of
I'm
course.
sure he does. And Joe, the book we were talking about by Winslow is The Dawn Patrol.
That's it, the Dawn Patrol. I loved it. Yeah.
Exactly. In the news, Minnesota's latest budget and economic forecast shows the state with a projected $17.5 billion surplus. That comes after the record-breaking surplus was announced in December. The latest forecast also factors in inflation for the first time in around 2 decades after state lawmakers just said last week had approved legislation requiring inflation to be factored in. Had inflation been factored into December's budget estimate, that number would have decreased by about $1.5 billion less, according to the Minnesota Department of Management and Budget. So that means, despite a slight decrease in the forecast, the state surplus actually grew since December.
So there's more money you won't see.
Yeah, exactly. And,
when are we getting the poor people checks?
We're not.
The poor people check.
What's the phrase called where you just keep saying something over and over and eventually you and others will just think it's true?
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
Thank you very much. That's what's going on with the rhetoric coming out of the governor's mouth / Twitter account when he's talking about the surplus. And I know you don't pay attention to that, but there are other people who are buying it, basically saying Minnesota's economy is strong because we have this budget surplus.
Well, if the king said so, it must be true.
That's true.
Such a disappointment. Oh, I just wish
Boy,
that
that's
weren't
the
the case.
politest way of putting it I can possibly imagine.
Kenny does not use that same.
I know he doesn't, but I do.
Oh.
Back to St. Paul now. Police there are investigating possible connections between 2 groups of teens and a recent spree of violent crimes that we've been talking about for much of this show. In February, 15-year-old Devin Scott fatally stabbed at Harding High School. Afterward, Ramsey County Sheriff Bob Fletcher told our friends down at 5 Eyewitness News that Scott's death could be related to the shooting of 16-year-old Antoine Watson in October. 6 days after Scott's death, St. Paul police arrested 3 teens after occupants of 2 vehicles were shooting at each other. And just last Friday, 3 teenagers shot after a memorial service for Scott at the Wellstone Recreation Center on the city's west side. While connections between those events are under investigation, community leaders say they want to take some steps toward peace by inviting the teens to a meeting this week to create what they're calling a truce.
They have a gang truce, huh, John?
Yep. Reverend Daryl Spence, founder of the God Squad, told 5 Eyewitness News he and other community leaders are working to bring the feuding groups of teens together for a meeting to hopefully get them to put down their guns.
And they can have cookies. And,
Right.
Yeah.
Play some backgammon.
Yeah.
Spence said, yeah, there's an ongoing feud or whatever you want to call it, but we want to put a plea out to say, let's stop, let's sit down at a table, let's talk, let's work this out and get a truce going.
Joe, what are they so afraid of? Why can't they call a gang war a gang war?
Well, you even come up with a euphemism for it. We talked about it. I'm trying to recall what the euphemism was.
In John's story, they're feuding teens.
Yeah, or they're sometimes called people that associated. I can't come up with it, but they won't say it because that's part of their failed plan. They created this nonsense.
Does it have something to do with going after guns? Instead of focusing on the criminals, they're focusing on the firearms. Is that what it is?
That's boilerplate response to these is too many guns. No, it's too much bad behavior.
Yeah.
Reverend Ronnie Patterson, organizer of St. Paul's 21 Days of Peace, told 5 Eyewitness News he'll be part of those talks with a clear message for the rival groups of teens.
Just say it! Say it!
For the gangs, all right? The gangs.
Johnny, no!
Wasn't yelling at you, John.
I feel so much better.
Yeah. Just, it's so fun to speak the truth, isn't it?
Update on the story we had a couple of weeks ago. A man convicted for a 2021 homicide in Wyndham was found dead Friday night at Boom Island Park in Minneapolis. I remember we talked about 58-year-old Ralph Appman. He was missing. He was charged with second-degree murder for the August 26, 2021 death of Juan Morales Rivera. He didn't show up for a court meeting on February 13th, prompting Wyndham police and the BCA to send out an alert notifying the metro area that they thought Appman was armed. And here in the Twin Cities, he was convicted in absentia February 14th, again found dead here in the Twin Cities Friday night. Add today's rain to the snow that's fallen recently, and it's helping parts of Minnesota to climb out of a drought. While the drought is receding, it still covers about a third of the state, including the Twin Cities and the Fargo-Moorhead area.
Okay, I'm glad you had that reaction because I got mad when I saw the headline.
What drought?
Was mad.
I'm pro-drought.
Yeah.
I don't
You mean every
say,
summer when it gets hot?
That's right.
The reason I brought this story was just to get that reaction.
John, you're so mean.
You are a creep.
Parts of southeastern Minnesota, including all of Cottonwood County, according to officials, are still in severe drought. Why, you ask?
You know, John, you get up in the morning and you say, what can I find that'll really make Suchi angry?
Yes.
Let me find a drought story.
You know, I've expanded that to include Chris and Kenny and Rook, too.
Yeah. All right.
Not just you.
All right. That's a hell of a way to approach a newscast.
Let's
Let's get the news that upsets the cast.
Well, he likes throwing in the dirty stories because he knows I'll bite on the hook and I'll say something really offensive.
The first thing I do when I open the computer is go, what?
Put your hands together.
The reason for all this, some of it is because precipitation fell so far behind the bone dry summers of 2021 and
You know what?
22.
Because in the Little Golden Book, it only rains when it's supposed to. And it's just a perfect amount.
Isn't that nice?
I don't know if people remember, but last spring was very, very wet.
Yes, it was.
And a lot of acres went unplanted because of the wet.
Well, that was climate change.
Of course. And then when it dried out and stopped raining.
That's climate change.
Yes.
2 months into 2023, the year does look promising, according to officials, for lawns, gardens, trees, lakes, rivers, and crops. Pioneer Press reporting Burnsville police are alerting the public of a ruse in which scammers are calling metro area residents and impersonating actual police sergeants in an attempt to get money from prepaid gift cards.
Well, hang up on these idiots.
Police, I can't believe people still fall for
so
these.
you have an outstanding parking ticket or speeding ticket, but we'll take a Target gift card.
Right.
Well, here's how it works. Police say that over the past week, they've received at least 10 reports of scammers who've reached or left messages with people after using the names of 2 real sergeants. Investigators are aware of 2 people who have fallen victim to the scam. One lost about $11,000.
Oh.
The other $8,000.
I can't account for that stupidity. I mean, how do you account for that stupidity?
The police impersonation scam is not new. It's played out across the U.S. and locally in recent years. Minneapolis Police, St. Cloud Police, and Hennepin County Sheriff's Office have notified the public of similar scams, but it's a first for Burnsville Police, said Sergeant Sean Anselment, whose name has been used in 9 of the calls. In most cases, he said the scammers have targeted people employed in the medical field. Anselman said the scheme has gone like this. Scammers tell the victims or possible victims they have information on a confidential matter. They then went on to say they missed court hearings and now need to pay fines and fees using prepaid gift cards. The scammers instructed the victims to buy gift cards. After doing so, the victims gave the scammers the numbers off the gift cards. And of course, then the scammers can use the gift cards immediately. The scammers have used spoofed telephone numbers with local area codes in a further attempt to deceive.
Do we even know if the scammers are in this state?
No.
We don't even know if they're in this country. Yeah, we have no idea.
Before
They have
Grandma
no idea.
passed, she got nabbed by a scammer, and I believe they were in Kentucky.
Did Grandma give up the money?
Sure did.
Oh, no.
Ooh, that's not good.
Oh, Grandma, come on.
She had the biggest heart of anybody I've ever met.
Yeah, but come on, Grandma. How much did Grandma lose?
Bought $1,000.
Oh,
Yep.
jeez.
Because she
That's
thought
$1,000 you didn't get.
Well, here's the thing that got her, though. Here's the
That's
thing
the way to look at it.
Here's the thing that got her was they had called pretending to be my brother. True story. And they had said he was in jail, which can't really fault Grandma.
Okay, you know what I call that? An inside. That was family. That's your family did that.
Right.
Somebody in your family got $1,000 from
It was
Grandma.
probably
right.
your other brother.
New intelligence has prompted the Energy Department to conclude that an accidental lab leak in China most likely caused the coronavirus pandemic, although U.S. spy agencies remain divided over the origins of the virus.
Weren't we not allowed to say that years ago?
No,
Yeah. Remember, that's what.
At the beginning, you could never say that.
You could not say that.
no.
The conclusion was a change from the department's earlier position that it was undecided on how the virus emerged. Officials would not disclose what the new intelligence was. Various government agencies now stand at different conclusions. In addition to the Energy Department, the FBI has concluded, like the Energy Department, with what they call low confidence, that the virus first emerged accidentally from the Wuhan Institute of Virology, a Chinese lab that worked on coronaviruses. But 4 other intelligence agencies and the National Intelligence Council have concluded with low confidence as well, that the virus most likely emerged through natural transmission. That, according to the director of National Intelligence's office. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot perhaps missing the point here.
No.
She's blaming her dwindling re-election prospects on race and gender.
No, you're just playing a card there, Lori. You're a pathetic, incompetent fool.
Instead of the city's crime crisis. She told the New Yorker, I'm a black woman, and let's not forget.
That's why it's going down.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah.
Some folks, frankly, don't support us in leadership roles, she said.
I don't support you in your leadership role, Lori. You're an idiot.
Election watchers say recent polls show crime, though, is the big issue in Chicago in the mayoral race. And in the latest polls, Lightfoot trails 3 different candidates, Paul Valles, Brandon Johnson, and Jesus Shoy Garcia. Though the numbers of people shot or killed across the city are down this year, there was a 35% increase in all reported crimes in 2022, according to the Chicago Sun-Times. Chicago's mayoral election is tomorrow.
Well, I hope she's defeated.
Before you move on, John, can we go back to the COVID? Was there
Sure.
any mention in that story about when COVID first appeared in the United States of America?
I did not see anything about that, no.
I can tell you when. Wasn't it December of 2019?
Well, I was going to say when I had COVID a month. When
you
I
were
had
in
COVID,
November of 2019 when you were sick, weren't you?
yeah, and I had COVID a month ago, and the symptoms were exactly the same, but they weren't symptoms that everybody else feels with the respiratory stuff. It was all body pain, back pain, leg pain, and severe stomach pain.
Maybe you just had the flu this time.
I took tests. I took 3 tests.
The whole
and
test?
you had COVID.
Yeah, I had the COVID.
Wow.
Yeah, new kind of COVID.
Did you eat a bat at a wet market?
Yes, when he was in
Oh,
China.
God, I can't tell you. I can't stay away from those things, Reavers.
Give him in Velveeta.
Wet market. Gross.
Fox News host Fox News host Howard Kurtz, who anchors a weekly show on the media industry, said he's been told not to cover the $1.6 billion defamation lawsuit filed against Fox by Dominion Voting Systems. Kurtz revealed the prohibition during Sunday's episode of Media Buzz after he received criticism for not covering revelations about the network that came out of recent filings from Dominion. The trial caused quite a stir last week when papers filed in the trial showed Fox hosts like Tucker Carlson Sean Hannity and Laura Ingraham sent emails saying they didn't believe any of the charges from Donald Trump and those who worked for them, that the election was rigged. The emails called Trump's lawyers foolish. Despite that, all the hosts continued to go on the air on Fox, saying the election was rigged, doing that for months, while privately saying they didn't believe that at all. Legal analysts say all of this indicates Dominion has a good chance to win its case against Fox. There's been no comment from Fox about what Kurt said on the air. Do you think he'll still have a job?
I think we're about to find out.
Suits, you went after Fox a couple of weeks ago against our protests. And you didn't make it. You're right. You didn't make it clear at the time. You don't like Fox because you're in love with MSNBC and CNN. Is that correct?
Yeah.
He just favors. Maybe not in love, but favors.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't trust any of them.
No, I
don't
think
care
we
which
could do
side.
fine without Fox or CNN.
Yeah, I don't care which side they're on. I have equal mistrust.
How you feel about those emails that Hannity and Tucker Carlson and Laura Ingraham traded?
Well,
I think it's Ingram.
These people are pathetic. They have
It was both. What did I say? Ingraham? Yeah, Ingram.
It's like the program.
The program.
Yeah, I don't trust any of them, John. They're like secondary, third rail people to me.
The distributor of the comic strip Dilbert now this morning is the latest to sever its relationship with creator Scott Adams, saying the cartoonist's comments about race do not align with their core values. Andrews McMeel Universal announced it was cutting ties to Adams and the cartoon of office life after an incompatible, what they called vision and principle of the creator's comments, which prompted many newspapers to drop the comic strip. Adams drew backlash after recent episodes of his YouTube show in which, among other things, he referred to people who are black as members of a hate group and suggested that white people should get the hell away from them.
Oh, jeez. Wow.
USA Today Network, which operates hundreds of newspapers, said it had pulled the plug on the long-running comic strip. The Washington Post and Plain Dealer also in Cleveland said they would no longer carry it. Here in the Twin Cities, the Star Tribune announced they had dropped Dilbert.
I don't read Dilbert.
No, I never thought it was very funny. I'm not going to lie.
Is it supposed to be funny or is it supposed to be ironic?
Doesn't he rip the corporate world?
Yeah.
He's got a
doesn't like cubicle life.
He's got a weird-haired guy that says. Adams has caused some controversy before. Previously, he claimed he was a victim of racism in Hollywood. Adams has made news for other controversial statements, including questioning the accuracy of the Holocaust death toll.
Oh,
he did say this.
My word.
I bet that was a fun comic strip that day, huh?
no, it wasn't on the strip.
Oh, he didn't put it in.
During his little YouTube.
Right, yeah, that would be a little aggressive.
Aggressive. Yeah.
That was
He
funny,
did say
Rookie.
he did say today he realized he's pretty much ruined his career, but I did look it up. I don't think it's going to hurt him. He's worth between $50 and $80 million right now.
So what I was wondering, John, when you were reading that is, did he do this on purpose? I'm so tired of writing.
Well, he's
this thing.
65.
I'm so tired of writing this
I'm done.
damn
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, what possesses the guy to do that? Say, who's that gal who writes the books about, I don't know, hobbits and holes and trees and
The You're Nuts theory.
what's
Who's
her
nuts?
name?
No. The
He's
gal.
nuts.
No, the gal you've always said.
J.K. Rowling.
Thank you.
Well, what possesses them to just,
J.K.
shoot
Rowling has not done anything like this.
You're mixing your Hobbit story with your Harry Potter stories, Kenny. She wrote Harry Potter.
Yeah,
books.
well, I don't care what she wrote. Why doesn't she just keep her mouth shut and keep making money?
Who wrote 50 Shades of Grey?
She is still making money.
Not
That was
J.K.
Zane Grey.
Rowling.
It was Zane Grey, wasn't it, Rook?
I only
my
read
God.
Peanuts and Hocus Pocus. That's
Oh
all I do.
no!
I love
You got to
Hocus
read
Pocus.
Pearls Before Swine.
I know. I
Best
like
comic
Hocus
strip.
Focus. I
Best
have a
comic
bad
strip
cartoon bubble
last
about the
20
guy
years.
who does Hocus Focus. I think he's kind of down and out. He's a bad artist, and
What are you picturing? The living conditions.
He's not worth anything. He's got the bad studio and
Drapes.
But
Got the
boy,
bad drapes.
I love Hocus Focus. I'm getting better at it every day.
No, that's
That
only in
crazy
your
old
paper.
Marmaduke.
No, I don't read Marmaduke.
I'm at the point in life, Joe, where I hate Charlie Brown. That kid deserves a punch right to the nose.
He's a sympathetic character, Kenny. Lucy's the evil one.
I thought she was the sweetheart. I understand her.
Shocking.
I
Kenny.
lost my my lust for the comics after Gary Larson retired.
He was
Far
brilliant.
Side was was really good.
Yeah.
John, I know you like to look stuff up, and you said Scott Adams is worth a fortune. when we're done here, look up who does Hocus Pocus and see if that poor bastard's worth anything.
May I answer an earlier question that you had?
Focus.
Courtesy of the Garage Logic Town Council.
Yes.
This is from Larry. When you were looking for the name that we like to use for gangs.
Yes.
Is it group involved individuals?
There it is. Thank you.
Group
Thank you,
involved
Larry.
individuals.
Thank you, Town Council.
Perfect.
Group involved individuals is the euphemism that the leaders of St. Paul have come up with for gangs. Group involved individuals.
Wow.
You miserable failures.
I thought you were going to say something else.
I do have one story here that another person that we're going to dislike immensely. As soon as I read it, I disliked her.
All right.
She's a Virginia school board member,
Yeah.
shockingly enough, in Fairfax County.
Oh, I saw this. You're going to break our hearts.
I know it's well, let me just read it. She is named Abrar Omish.
Mm-hmm.
She's in hot water after slamming the Battle of Iwo Jima as evil. The legendary World War II battle resulted in about 7,000 dead Americans, more than 27,000 total casualties, as the Americans beat back the Japanese for control of the crucial island. Of course, it was a huge step forward in the fight for victory in World War II, proud achievement of the United States Marine Corps. In the face of evil, the U.S. pushing forward, thousands laid down their lives so Americans could control the island. Omish, for some unknown reason, seemed to frame the battle as evil for even happening. Not only was it not evil, it's certainly not from the American side. The battle had to happen so American assets could get within range of mainland China. But she said the days of Iwo Jima unfortunately happened and set the record for what I hate to say human evil is capable of.
She didn't stop there. She had something else she was worried about.
What? Let me see
The
what I
trilogy
got
is
here.
Prayers for the Assassin, Sins of the Assassin, and Heart of the Assassin by Robert Ferrigno.
Okay.
Getting closer every day.
The only other part I have here, Joe, maybe you have something else, was that her comments after sparking outrage, she tried to walk them back, said they were misinterpreted, even though it's all on tape.
She's a school board member.
She is a school board member, yes.
And she wears the hat, the covering, the head deal.
Yes, she does. Yeah. She has caused other problems previously. She referred to Israel as an apartheid state. She also once claimed moments of silence for 9/11 causes harm.
That's right. Yeah. The trilogy, Prayers for the Assassin, and Robert Ferrigno. You might want to get ahead of the curve. John, thank you.
You're welcome.
At the golf show, I was looking at the Crossfire golf cart.
That thing was sweet.
Is that cool?
That was fire.
EcoFun Motorsports in Forest Lake in Burnsville has the EcoFun supply of electric bikes, scooters, motorcycles, youth recreational equipment, and they've got this golf cart that is so cool. You can get two versions, one with a dump box that dumps, and one with a back.
That's key.
That's it.
Yep.
And then a back seat that folds down and it becomes kind of a storage platform. And they're just cool.
Yeah,
they're gas powered, and they're. Who won it? I wonder. Somebody at the golf show could have won that.
Oh,
weren't
that's
we
a good
bidding
question.
on it, or weren't we bidding on
I'll
it?
find out. I'll find out with the staff.
EcoFun Motorsports is a really, really great recreational equipment outlet. They've got my Yamaha scooter. They tuned it up, stored it for the winter. They'll be bringing it back as soon as the weather turns. They're in Forest Lake on Highway 97, just west of Interstate 35, and they're down in Burnsville on the service road of life near County Road 42. Great service, clothing, helmets. Great people. Tim was there at the golf show. He likes to follow that golf cart around. It's really cool.
It's cool to look at.
And it's I sat in it, I tested it out. She fits. You don't need to step up in it either. You just kind of glide right into it. You know,
Word.
you don't need a step ladder. It's
Right.
really cool. EcoFunMotorsports.com.
Everyone say leprechaun, say yeah.
Here's a man who spends hours in hardware stores, sifting through the nuts and bolts of life. Joe Souchere.
Firearm aficionados, let's join arm in arm and walk right into DK Mags. They work very hard to keep us happy, a steady flow of the most modern firearms and ammunition. They also take special orders, so if you've been looking a while, I know you've heard me say this, what are you waiting for? Get on the phone. I've got personal stories about how they go out of their way to help their customers find firearms. Log on to dkmags.com first and see what they actually have, what they can get you. And one note about that, what they have in the gun case and the store is not mentioned on the website. So you got to pick up the phone. A lot of knowledge with their on-site gunsmith staff. They can handle those small jobs. If you've got a big job, a difficult one, they've got outside resources. They'll get it done for you. Their buying power, pretty amazing. They buy like big box stores, but they keep the small town local feel. And of course, that's what I love about them. And if you're new to firearms or considering your very first purchase, this is the place for you. You're not going to get any ego or attitude at DK Mags. Very accommodating staff, fair pricing, quality firearms, great staff. They're at DK Mags, Old 8 in New Brighton, and of course, like I said, on the web, dkmags.com.
A lot of black guys have weird names.
What?
Lovey Smith.
What?
No, I mean Lovey.
Wait.
Love.
No, a lot of people have weird names.
No, it's only black people.
Sushere.
No, it's only black guys.
Sushere.
Lovey. What is Lovey?
Are you trying to replace the Dilbert cartoon?
I knew.
Yeah,
you know what?
Scott
I knew
Adams Jr.
I knew a white guy named Lovey. He ran a radiator repair shop down by the bus garage in downtown Minneapolis.
Okay. What about Runny?
I don't know a Runny.
Ronnie Patterson.
Wait,
He's one
he
of the,
used to do Score North Radio.
Reverend Runny Patterson. He's organizing St. Paul's 21
That's
Days
right,
of Peace.
yeah.
He's part of the guy. He's one of the guys
Okay.
helping to have a gang truce.
That is Reverend Runny.
Runny. I think of a runny nose. I'm sorry.
No, that's a cool name.
Well, it's kind of cool. And
That
so
would
is
be
Lovey.
That's a great radio
But they're
name.
weird.
Lovey
the
is
Reverend
named
Runny.
after,
What
Playing
is Lovey's name?
he's named after
Lovey-
his great aunt,
Lovey Lee
Lavana.
Smith.
Lavana?
Yes.
Yeah, was his aunt.
And
who
by the
named
time
after
it got to him, it was Lovey?
apparently.
Huh. Lovey and Runny. And anyway, Runny's doing the God's work. He's trying to get these kids to talk and not have gang warfare at all times.
I should have expected this from you, a guy that the baby walk, where you just
Good
gong
point. Yeah.
babies' names.
What the hell with it? If you don't know how to name a kid, you're going to get the foghorn. That's
Yeah,
just
the foghorn.
the way we do it.
Joe, if I may, Hocus Pocus.
Yeah, Hocus Pocus. Boy, am I
Henry-
getting good at that.
Henry Boltonoff was the guy who
Yeah,
originated it.
that's ringing a bell.
He still does. It says that he died in 2001,
Oh,
but they rerun them in a lot of places. It says.
I'm
and
doing old ones. No wonder they look
apparently,
so
we'll
crummy.
check the name tomorrow. I tried to pull
Don't
it
they-
up here, but I
don't
don't
they
have a
date those?
Pioneer Press thing. But they still run the old ones, and he did tons. He did cartoons for the New Yorker and all
boy.
kinds of plays. He also did covers for comic books for DC Magazine, Superman, that kind of stuff. So
boy.
he was well respected. He did Collier's cartoons, Saturday Evening Post, all sorts of things.
You
So,
know what Hocus Pocus is, don't you?
No idea.
yeah.
Two cartoon panels that appear identical, but you find 6 differences between them.
Right.
Oh, that's fun, man. I can get into
You got
that.
some
I
time on your hands,
I
you
got
know,
a
you gotta-
pencil. I got a pencil and a pen. I kind of mark them and see if I'm right. And it's just it's pretty
Just
good.
kinda-
People Magazine does the same thing on the back page, but they're too easy. A 5-year-old.
Oh,
could
you're
do
a
it.
seasoned pro at that
I
point.
mean, I'm in the major
You know
leagues
it's
of
okay.
Hocus
You know
Pocus.
what you're doing.
I play for the Yankees when it comes to Hocus Pocus.
Wow, you need a hobby, Joe.
I do. It's Hocus Pocus.
Oh, that's right.
Only.
You are something else.
Have you ever tried it?
No, I guess I have
I'll
not.
bring you one.
Or please do.
I'll bring you one.
Please do. God, Joe.
Wow.
You know another thing?
I'm going to admit something else.
Oh no.
Let's go.
I
we
invented
go.
a new game in my house to spring on the kids.
Turn off the lights.
Who can shut this door
The quietest.
with it making the perfect clicking sound? Because there's one room in the house where if you shut the door, it can be wide open. But if you shut the door just perfectly, it just goes click.
Fun game. Once again, you got a little extra time on your hands, do you?
What? Why did you invent this game? Because they were slamming doors?
Well, all kids slam doors, but I invented the game because it began to occur to me Man, that was about the 5th straight time I've shut this and nailed it. Just nailed it.
So you were the champ.
One of life's simple pleasures.
God. I water skipped over some open water on the lake the other day. I thought I was pretty proud of that achievement.
No, you know what I mean, though. It latches. Click. That's it.
You should bring this up on the Tom Bernard Morning Show podcast when you're on as a guest.
Tell them all about it.
Yeah.
We got a game at our house that I just made up over the weekend.
What did you do, Tom?
I'm the champ.
Here's the secret to good radio.
I'm going to go home and have a cocktail, and what are you going to do?
Hey, meet the fellas.
Only because they come to us all the way from Marloth Park in Mpumalanga, South Africa, from the traveling Lymans at worldwidewaftage.com. It was on this day in 1853.
Feb 27.
Edward D. Neal obtained a charter for the Baldwin School, which later became the failed academy known as Macalester College. On this day in 1857,
227.
Territorial Delegate Henry M. Rice succeeded in lobbying Congress to pass the Enabling Act for the state of Minnesota. The act defined the state's boundaries and authorized the establishment of a state government.
May I interrupt?
Sure.
I'm looking at today in Minnesota history, and neither one of those are on mine.
Well, so this is dated...
Much like the weather records we're doing yesterday's.
On this day, February 27th.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I got 2 other items, not those
Do you
2.
have Mount Zion Hebrew Congregation?
Nope.
Do you have Hubbard County being named for Lucius Hubbard?
Nope.
And do you have Prince sweeping the Grammys?
Nope.
Well, what the hell? I go with Lyman. This says Feb 27. Are you sure you're on Feb 27?
I'm on Feb 27. I'm going to check 26.
Maybe click and posted. Or
another thing you got to bring up with Tom.
You got
do all your show prep on the air.
What?
You have the 26th.
I have the 26th?
You do, yes.
Yeah, that was yesterday.
Well, then you do today, John.
Okay. Hang on. Here we go.
Buckle up.
1843.
Yep.
Thomas Lowry is born in Logan County, Illinois.
Yep.
After arriving in Minneapolis in 1868, Lowry would play an instrumental role in establishing the Twin Cities streetcar system.
Yep.
He died in 1909.
You get the Lowry Hill for him.
He's got a tunnel named after him.
Yeah, Lowry Tunnel.
And in 1857, Waseca County is formed.
See, you do it differently than me. I always turn them into past tense.
Okay.
On this day,
let's see, 1857. On this day, Waseca County was formed.
Yeah.
Formed.
Yeah.
It was named with the Dakota word meaning rich in provisions.
Yep.
Also on this day, a humorous episode in Minnesota history begins. Joseph Rolette, a fur trader representing Pembina in the territorial legislature, steals the text of a bill to move the capital from St. Paul to St. Peter.
Yes, sir.
Although the bill had been passed, it had not been signed by the governor.
Right.
Rolette disappeared until the legislature adjourned on March 7th, hiding in the Fuller House attic while the bill rested in a hotel safe.
I'll be damned. How many more are there for this day?
That's it.
Wow, that wasn't much of a day, was it?
Really wasn't.
Wasn't much of a day. Thank you, GLers. And go read that piece about Harding High School. It'll shake you to your core.
Amen to that, Brock. If you want an uplifting comment or podcast, go to PodMN on your smartphone, poke around, and you will find one that will be uplifting, hopefully, for you. If you would like to view some of our videos on YouTube, Garage Logic, you may subscribe on YouTube to Garage Logic, and you will be privy to those videos. Then, run over to GarageLogic.com, where you can check out the online store. You can learn how to sign up for the Garage Logic Town Council. If you are not already, you should be. You should be telling other people about it as well, because you can get great insights in between the breaks, before the show, after the show. It's a match made in heaven. I'm telling you. Kind of like all the characters in this show. Matches made in heaven.
Cha.
You chawed?
Cha.
You cha?
I don't even know what a cha is.